be ready for dictation from the Hindu editorial section dated 2nd December 2021. Ready. The latest GDP and GVA estimates from the National Statistical Office have affirmed that the economy is now on the path to recovery after last fiscal's record contraction. Second quarter gross domestic product expanded 8.4%, rebounding from the year earlier period's 7.4% contraction, while the statistical advantage from the base effect surely aided the expansion. The economy appears to have gathered just enough momentum for GDP to post a marginal 0.3% growth even when compared with the second quarter of the pre-pandemic 2019 to 20 fiscal year. The gross value added figures, which capture the extent of activity across the 8 major formal sectors of the real economy, to underscore the improvement. With the July-September 2021 GVA figure of rupees 32.89 lakh crore, registering a 0.5% expansion from the July-September period of 2019. 5 of the 8 sectors posted growth not just from the year earlier quarter but also surpassed the pre-COVID-19 performance. Manufacturing, which has the second largest share of GVA, appears to have regained traction and was the bulwark of GVA, logging a 3.9% expansion from the pre-pandemic second quarter of fiscal 2020. The key employment providing services categories, however, are yet to fully recover from the pandemic's devastating impact, and along with construction, another major provider of jobs, lagged pre-pandemic levels by a cumulative rupees 77,000 crore. With the potential impact of the Omicron variant a big unknown, the outlook here may stay hazy for now. A disaggregated view of the GDP data also reveals areas of concern that could undermine the recovery. Private final consumption expenditure that measures spending on everything from essentials to luxury goods, and the entire gamut of services by all consumers, and has the largest share of GDP at 55%, is still treading water. The uncertainty induced by the pandemic, coupled with reduced or lost incomes, continues to depress demand and is mirrored in consumer spending, still remaining 3.5% shy of the pre-COVID level. Government consumption spending, which has often been a reliable alternative source of demand, with a capacity to serve as a multiplier, is also well below the fiscal 2020 second quarter, possibly by design, as the center seeks to consolidate its fiscal position unless aggregate demand strengthens the heartening uptick in business investment, as reflected in the 11% year-on-year jump in gross fiscal fixed capital formation could come to a naught with capacity additions remaining underutilized and corporate captains yet again tightening their purse strings. Manufacturing PMI data by IHS Markit has another salutary warning. Rising input costs could force manufacturers to raise prices, adding to the general inflationary pressures in the economy and undermine the recovery. Policymakers need to ramp up demand supportive measures, including increasing government spending to ensure that the recovery sustains and gains traction. The suspension of 12 opposition members of parliament from the Rajya Sabha for the entire winter session of parliament, evidently an extreme step by Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu, has turned the spotlight on the use of disruption of proceedings as a parliamentary tactic. The government and the opposition should try and work a way out of this situation, but that may not resolve the underlying affliction of perennial conflict between the two sides. A guiding principle of parliamentary proceedings is that the majority, that is, the government, will have its way and the minority, the opposition, will have its say. This principle has been observed in its violation in India for several years now, as the principal opposition in the years leading up to 2014. The Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP) so disrupted parliament that a majority government was rendered dysfunctional for years. Since 2014 in power, the BJP has tinkered with parliamentary processes in a way that the opposition has been pinned down. Bills are passed in a hurry, and even amidst the scrutiny of bills by committees and debates are few and far between. Also, the decision to suspend members for their conduct in the previous monsoon session at the beginning of a new session seems excessively punitive. This is no defense of disruption in general or the behavior of the particular MPs, but the punishment is only worsening the conflict and not facilitating debate. Parliament is the platform where the executive is held accountable to the representatives of the people. That is, where people's representatives raise matters of public concern and seeks the government's attention. The trend of weakening that process in the name of efficiency is not merely undermining the spirit of democracy, it is also landing the government itself in a difficult spot, as the mayhem that followed the hurried passage of three controversial farm laws last year shows. Parliamentary debates should not be viewed as a distraction or waste of time. They are a barometer of public mood and must be respected as such by both the ruling side and the opposition. Disruption as a brief, momentary reaction to a situation that demands debate is understandable, but as a sustained strategy, it is self defeating. The absence of the opposition will only leave the government even more unchecked. It was the BJP's Arun Jaitley who theorized on the legitimacy of disruptions as a parliamentary instrument. It is time to shun that idea. The government must make amends to restore the function of parliament by deferring to parliamentary mechanisms and also through informal channels of communication with the opposition.